Here tonight, really what it was about, really for the most part, was the Bloodline saga, the continuation of the Bloodline saga, because after the week that Jey Uso has had losing his IC title, showing up on SmackDown, he came out here tonight, he kicked off the show, he said there's one man that I want to speak to after the week I've had, and he knows who he is, and he needs to come out right now. And of course, that man is his brother, Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso makes an appearance here. SmackDown star coming over to Raw. He sort of tries to get back in the good graces of his brother, but Jey Uso cut one of his best promos, I think, in a while, because here's the thing. As much as we love, the yeet and everything, sometimes it kind of feels like it kind of hinders Jey Uso in a bit, because Jey Uso, when he can go on a promo and when he gets like mad, like you believe him, like this is coming straight from his gut, from his heart. He said that I left the bloodline to be my old man. He said I won titles, but none of those titles compared to being your brother. He says that if this go around, we really do this, we really become the Usos, we really become the ones. There ain't gonna be no manipulating, no lackeys. He said it's just gonna be equals, everybody. And Jimmy Uso said, listen, come to Friday night. Come over to Friday night. I'll have the OTC there so y'all can squash this beef. And Jey Uso says that he will be on Friday Night SmackDown. So we are going to get a Bloodline segment on Friday night. But after that, the Tongans came out and started attacking both Usos. This led to Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu coming out. Jacob Fatu then immediately started attacking both Usos, but both Usos took him out with the super kicks, and this led to the Usos standing tall. What I want to bring up is later on in the show, the Usos are walking backstage and they run into none other than Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, you can tell he kind of looks a little dejected, kind of like confused, and he pulls Jey aside. He tells him like, listen, can we speak, privately? Because he doesn't want to speak with Jimmy sort of involved, and they kind of have this brief stare down. Sami Zayn asked the questions to Jey Uso that I think everybody's asking themselves at home. Like, listen, why are you aligning yourself with them? You don't need to be back with them. This isn't about you anymore. You're your own man. You shouldn't even, deal with this. And Jey Uso brought out one of the coldest lines ever. He tells Sami and says, listen, Sami, you just wouldn't understand because you ain't family use. And he just walks off. Now, this wouldn't be the last time we saw Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw, because shortly after this segment, Jey Uso went back to talk to Jimmy about sort of, what the meeting between him and Sami was all about. And Jimmy said, like, listen, man, hold up. Let me talk to Sami. It's not gonna get physical. It's not gonna, break down. I just want to talk, man to man. So later on, Jimmy Uso, it looks like he's kind of leaving the arena for the night. He's trying to still look for Sami, and all of a sudden, in the distance, he sees Sami Zayn talking to someone, and that someone is Solo Sikoa. And as soon as this happens, Jey Uso arrives, and he sees this as well. Now, earlier in the show, Sami Zayn did bring up to Jey Uso, he told him, you don't have to pick sides between Roman and Solo. He said you don't have to do that. So now Jey is kind of thinking to himself, well, maybe Sami is picking sides and is siding with Solo. Thought that right there was such a great twist, because as soon as you think the story is going one way, it heads off and it kind of moves off to another direction. Now, I think this was probably just a misunderstanding, and eventually we are going to get that reunion from all four of these guys, but I think it was a nice touch to kind of add that little gem into this whole story here tonight. Another thing I want to bring up here tonight was the Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed interaction here. Seth Rollins came out. He cut a promo on Bronson Reed, and Bronson Reed interrupts him. He's shown in the Titantron being in the back. He tells Seth Rollins, like, listen, I promised Adam Pearce that I wouldn't go out to the ring and cause a mayhem in the arena, but I'm backstage and you can find me right now. So this leads to a brawl backstage. This leads to a wicked curb stomp on the hood of a car by Seth Rollins on Bronson Reed. However, just as soon as Seth Rollins thinks that this is over with, Bronson Reed comes back, delivers a Death Valley driver onto a bunch of tables from a trailer. So both guys are laid out. No movement from both guys, and Bronson Reed slowly starts to get up and walks away. Now, like I said, I think Bronson Reed is going to take the W at Crown Jewel. He needs this W more than Rollins, and I fully expect him to pick up the W then. We also crowned number 1 contenders for the tag team championships. It is the War Raiders. They had a killer match between War Raiders, LWO, and the New Day. This only furthers the New Day sort of eventual teased split because they had kind of a miscommunication during the end of the match. I really thought the New Day was going to take the W here because they're going to celebrate their 10-year anniversary, and maybe they wanted to align them winning the tag team championships on their 10-year anniversary. But War Raiders, however, picks up the W here. And last week, we were told that Dominik Mysterio would be facing a former champion here tonight, a former world champion. But that whole surprise was taken away from us as soon as Adam Pearce told Dominik Mysterio who it was. And I shit you not, when he said that, mine and Dominik's reactions were the exact same. It was Damian Priest. He was going to take on Dominik Mysterio here tonight. Now listen, I love Damian Priest, but this wasn't much of a surprise. We all kind of figured who the world champion in question was. And, you know, this was kind of billed as Dominik trying to prove that he can hang, that he could potentially be a world champion in the future. And surprisingly, you know, after, you know, Judgment Day shenanigans, Dominik Mysterio picks up the W. He ends up rolling up Damian Priest in a 1-2-3. Damian Priest is frustrated at this. He starts attacking Dominik after the match. South of Heaven chokeslam, steel chairs, the whole shebang. And we end off the show with Damian Priest looking dejected by the fact that he lost to Dominik Mysterio. Now, does that mean that we're getting a Dominik Mysterio against Gunther match down the road? Because, I mean, that would be a novelty match, if any, because Dominik Mysterio ain't winning shit in that match, brother. However, I thought that this Raw was overall solid, mainly due to the fact of the Bloodline here furthering that story. And, you know, thankfully, we are out of the Crown Jewel build, and as soon as Crown Jewel is over next week on Raw, we can start the official build to Survivor Series. So I am thrilled about that. But let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what you guys think of the Bloodline segments, how you feel about that. And until next time, take care. I am out.